So check it out. John O'Keefe was attacked by a dog. The Karen Reed forensic expert. That's what she's saying. Make sure you like the video, y'all. Everybody hit the thumbs up for me. Subscribe if you're new. Let's jump into this one.
Is what the wounds you see on Exhibit 1 consistent or inconsistent with what you have seen from your experience with regard to motor vehicle accident victims?
Inconsistent.
Whoa.
If I could have published Exhibit 206, which is in evidence, Your Honor.
Okay.
Do you recognize Exhibit 206?
Yes.
Did you review that as part of any report in this case?
Yes.
And can you describe how you reviewed this document as part of your evaluation of this case?
Well, I reviewed the injuries, which are so this is a decedent, a picture of a decedent, a different case, not the decedent in this case, totally separate case.
And so is this from Dr. Welcher's report that you reviewed?
Yes.
All right, so continue, please.
And so this is a person deceased, looks like in the street, and he's got multiple injuries. And this is allegedly from an auto versus pedestrian accident.
So if we could, are you able to discern any injuries to any limbs from this? If you could zoom in on the limbs, Mr. Wolf, thank you.
So there is a very extensive degloving, partially degloving, avulsion injury to the forearm of this individual, the extensive skin loss, damage to the subcutaneous tissue, possibly damage to other tissues beneath that.
Oh, hell. Imagine being on the jury and she puts that picture up just to show that, no, this is what it looks like if you're struck by a vehicle. Oof.
And Mr. Wolk, if you could zoom back out and go to the list that is highlighted in the original of this. And Dr. Russell, can you tell me whether you evaluated the list, and if so, how did you evaluate that list in connection with the photo?
Well, the photo is limited only really to the upper chest and the right arm. And so I can't comment on any of the CAT scan findings here on this list, but this was a list of numerous traumatic injuries to this person. And regarding the arm, it says right upper extremity wound with vascular injury, clinical.
What does that mean, if anything, to you?
Whoa. Because that's like the big thing with this case too, right? Is that like like his body didn't look like it got hit, right? Like that's the big thing. Is they're like, oh, but look at these abrasions on his arm and stuff, and they're like, well, that looks like a dog did it. But other than that, it's like to be struck by a vehicle enough to end your life, like there's going to be some pretty significant damage. That's kind of the defense's thing too, isn't it?
Well, that suggests it's a soft tissue wound. However, what they're saying is clinical, so they're not commenting on if there were any X-ray findings, for instance. On an X-ray, but I mean would be a post-mortem X-ray. And this is just a clinical diagnosis or a visual hands-on diagnosis.
Do you know whether that line that you just read relates to any part of the photograph? Any part of the photograph?
Well, I believe it relates to that injury that we pointed out in the previous photograph.
Can you switch back to that, please, Mr. Wolk? And if you could just zoom in and just what does...
So this is the wound that they are talking about. It's a large gaping wound, soft tissue wound.
If we could go back to the list, please. Zoom in. Thank you.
But,
Please continue.
no. What I was going to say is that there are multiple other injuries in this person. Multiple serious, significant injuries, subdural hemorrhage, subarachnoid hemorrhage, intraventricular hemorrhage, liver laceration, pneumothorax. That's blood and air in the chest cavity outside of the lungs. So it's in an area where it shouldn't be. This person had numerous injuries.
Are you able to compare these injuries in that photo in this Exhibit 206?
Because she was a trauma doctor, wasn't she? She worked in the emergency room.
And did you compare them to your review of the autopsy report and other medical records of Mr. O'Keefe?
Sustained.
Answer the question? Oh. Okay.
You can take that down. From your review, did Mr. O'Keefe sustain any liver laceration?
No.
Did Mr. O'Keefe sustain any gaping, as you called it, lacerations to the right forearm?
No.
Did Mr. O'Keefe sustain any pneumothorax injuries that you were describing with regard to 206?
No pneumothorax.
This lady looks like she makes like the best like cup of tea you like ever had in your life. Like she looks so cool.
Let's switch to another topic. Let's talk about clothing of the decedent. In forming your opinion, did you consider Mr. O'Keefe's clothing in relation to his wounds?
Yes.
If we could, Your Honor, have Exhibit 150 in evidence published.
Okay.
Do you recognize what's depicted in Exhibit 150?
Yes.
And what is it?
It's a picture of part of the hoodie, sweatshirt or shirt that Mr. O'Keefe was wearing at the time.
And wearing when?
At the time of his death.
And did you evaluate this photo as part of your review of the autopsy report?
Yes.
And we're going to come back to this. If we could please switch to, Your Honor, 147C in evidence.
Okay.
Thank you.
No hell.
And what is 147C?
So this is a close-up of the sleeve of that shirt that we just saw on the previous image. And there's a hole or defect here in the sleeve, which I'm circling with the pointer. And there's a label that labels it number 1. And
That looks like a tooth.
so I see this hole that is
like a
rather
fang.
round and appears to have some fabric coming out of the hole towards the exterior of the jacket or the shirt.
Did you attribute any significance to the shape of the wound, and if so, what significance?
The shape of the hole, yes. So it's rounded. I actually attributed a lot of significance to that.
Describe a lot of significance that you attributed to this hole.
Well, I believe that this hole was made by a canine tooth, and with the
See?
tooth going into the shirt, reaching the skin, and then coming out of the shirt, pulling out some fabric with it.
I mean, would a piece of a tail light do that? I don't know. Y'all tell me. What do you think?
And we'll come back to this, if we could, Mr. Wolk, go to 147D as in David that's in evidence. Do you recognize this photo?
Yes.
What is it?
A round hole in the shirt, again with some fabric fibers pointing towards the outside of the shirt.
Is this the same hole that we just saw on 147C or a different hole?
Could we go back? I don't know.
Okay, so let's now go back to Exhibit 150. What significance, if any, do you give to the various triangles that are on the hoodie? Could you describe to the jury what those are and what's their...
I think that didn't the people that lived in the house that he was found in front of, didn't they have a dog? Or somebody that was in the house or something like that had a dog? Y'all tell me. I'm pretty sure, I think it's that house they had one. Like a police canine. Isn't that right? Somebody let me know. I don't remember.
purpose?
So the
Oh, yes, and they got rid of it real quick. Okay, yeah, German Shepherd. They got rid of... Oh, Chloe. Yeah. That's right. And so they got rid of the dog real quick afterwards.
triangles are labels that were placed by either the police or the crime lab or someone, and the point of the triangle generally is pointing towards a hole in the shirt. As you can see, there are multiple ones here, and I want to make sure that you don't confuse it with this rather large defect, which is caused by something else.
So let's start with each one, and we'll go through these quickly. Let's start and zoom in on number 1. What did you conclude about the source of that hole?
The neighbors
in the
confirmed
hood?
it too. Yup.
Sustained.
Did you evaluate what is depicted as number 1 in that slide as part of your review?
Yes.
And what was your evaluation?
Oh, that's a zoom right there.
Let's go back and
That's some
zoom
zoom
out.
action.
Have you, in your career, examined clothing either as part of your forensic pathology practice or your emergency medicine practice to determine the source of defects in clothing?
Yes.
How many times have you done that approximately in your career?
Several hundred.
And have you, in those several hundred times, have you ever had to reach a conclusion as to whether there was any connection between defects in clothing and wounds to humans?
Many times.
Can you give some examples of the many times you've had to look at clothing and defects in clothing to assist you in determining wound recognition in a human?
Yes. So let me clarify. It's mostly used in forensic pathology, not so much in emergency medicine. The clothing and the cause of the wound is as important as in emergency medicine as the treatment of the wound. But in forensic pathology, it's a key component to any examination where you think that it was an unnatural death. So, so I've done it in gunshot wounds, in stab wounds, multiple times. Looking at the defects, looking at the direction of the, of what I think the bullet, bullet track was, determining entry and exit wounds, In stab wounds, I've utilized them to help determine offensive and defensive wounds or injuries. So yes, many times.
Have you ever performed that analysis? You mentioned, testified earlier, 500 to 1,000 evaluations of dog-inflicted wounds on humans. Have you ever performed the analysis of defects in clothing and compared them to wounds on humans in the context of dog-inflicted wounds on humans?
I don't think so. Perhaps in that one.
Well, yes. So in terms of, have there been any instances of doing that in your career? Have you done that at all in your career?
Maybe that one child.
All right. So let's go now.
And would they do cut her mic off too?
To the
And they're gonna try to do anything they can to not let this lady's defense like be heard, huh? What is that? The hell is that sound?
you were discussing.
Just like, hey, turn her mic off and then like play the buzzer sound for like 10 seconds. Really throw off the jury. Like, what is going on? We've watched how many cases? Hundreds of cases.
What the fuck?
And I've never seen anything like that happen.
How dare you?
That is crazy. I mean, sometimes the audio is terrible, but the audio is terrible for everybody. You know what I mean? Not this one. They said, cut her mic off. Cut her mic off. Turn the... Get the mic.
The defects in the arm,
That is nuts.
as well as the wounds in the arm, and then the defects in the clothing. In terms of the, back to Exhibit 1.
No, that wasn't me. Okay, no. My sound effects make sense.
In terms of that pattern that is in the arm, and in terms, let's go back to the hoodie. I'll strike that. Have you, in your career, in the terms of evaluating motor vehicle accidents, have you evaluated the clothing of victims of motor vehicle accidents?
Yes.
How many times roughly have you evaluated what clothing looks like in terms of motor vehicle accidents?
Well, in many cases, I had to cut off the clothing in the emergency department, so I observed the clothing then, and then in the post-mortem cases, I evaluated the clothing, but oftentimes sometimes it wasn't helpful.
Have you ever evaluated clothing in determining whether or not the defects in the clothing are consistent or inconsistent with a motor vehicle accident? Have you ever evaluated that as a forensic pathologist?
Not specifically.
Right. And in terms of your observations in either emergency medicine or forensic pathology, have you ever observed defects from motor vehicle accidents in clothing?
Yes.
Is what is depicted in this exhibit consistent or inconsistent with a motor vehicle accident?
System.
I was about to say. That is crazy. How would that be sustained? He's basically saying you've looked at things in the past that were the cause of motor vehicle accidents, and is this consistent? Is what you're seeing right here, is it consistent with a motor vehicle accident? Objection. Sustained.
In determining, let's go back to Exhibit 1, please. In determining and reaching your opinion with regard to the source of these wounds, is it necessary for you to reach that opinion to see a specific dog to determine whether the wounds are from a dog in general?
No.
And in your experience that you talked about earlier today, the 500 to 1,000, was it ever necessary in that experience to go locate the dog, to see the dog, to treat or evaluate the patient?
No.
Why is it, well, in terms of, we're going to move to another category, studies. Did you review any studies informing your opinions in this case?
Can we put the lights on and take this?
Yeah, yes, thank you, Your Honor. Yes.
Yes, many.
And did those studies that you review support or not support your conclusions in this case?
Sustained.
Which studies did you rely upon?
Well, I reviewed quite a few, 10 to 20 in depth, and I relied a lot on 2 of the articles.
Do you recall the names of the lead authors in the studies that you said, that you just referenced?
Yes, one of them was Demuniak.
Could you spell that, please?
I wish. Demunnyck, I believe.
And was there...
And then there was another one, Pollack, Pollack.
Man, that lady is smart as... That is crazy. Do you remember the articles that you read and the authors' names? Yes, I believe it's spelled like this, and I believe it's spelled like this. Whoa. I can't even remember what I had for lunch. Actually, I can't.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Your Honor, if my recollection is correct, we've already pre-marked as exhibits for identification these studies, 2 studies. I may be incorrect in that. If so, I have the studies. I'm going to show them to Mr.
Yeah, this is the defense attorney.
Yes, thank you. So we can just make sure I have all the pages.
Yeah, sustained like the jury didn't hear it. Exactly. It's crazy. And she likes to throw that in there too. Sustained. Strike that from the record. Oh, okay.
Okay. So if I can just have a moment.
You what?
Okay, I got it. These are them. If I could have marked for identification as one document, please.
Exhibit PPP for ID.
One more, Madam Court Reporter. Thank you.
And exhibit QQQ for ID.
Mr. Unless you move.
I think I can fast forward it.
Dr. Russell, I have provided you with those 2 exhibits. I would ask you to just briefly take a look at them and let me know whether you recognize those as the articles that you were referencing before.
Oh, here it goes. TikTok, come over to YouTube. The Mystery Project on YouTube, y'all. Come on over. The Mystery Project. We're live right now. You can see the video. The Mystery Project. Come on over. TikTok being crazy as hell, like always. All right, let's finish this off.
Yes.
Now let's start out with the Demuniak study, is that exhibit PPP?
PP.
Right. So is this the study that you referenced earlier in your testimony?
Yes.
Can you briefly describe for the jury how that study related to the opinions in the case?
Sustained.
Are these
Oh my
the
God.
studies that you cite to as a basis for support for your opinions in this case?
Yes.
And is QQQ a study that also supports your opinion in this case?
Yes.
Now, in terms of your conclusions with regard to, if we can go back once more to exhibit number 1. With regard to your opinion on the cause of these injuries, can you once again state your opinion as to the cause of these injuries?
I believe these injuries were caused by a dog attack.
So I'm going to strike that word.
Yeah, so Dr. Russell, if you could, with regard to bite parlance, can you state what your opinion is with regard to
I'm gonna strike that.
bite? So do you have an
Nobody even
opinion as to
objected.
what caused these injuries?
Yes. I believe that these injuries are the result of dog bites and or claw marks.
And do you hold that opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty?
Yes.
That is all the questions I have for this witness at this time.
I don't know. Y'all tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Leave it in the comments. Did John O'Keefe get attacked by a dog? Did Karen Reed do it? I don't know. I wasn't there. But certainly seems I don't know, it's crazy, y'all. It is a crazy case. Make sure you like the video, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.